Hey guys, welcome to Instructor Podcast 10. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to put together your first draft of your PowerPoint presentation. On Instructor Podcast 9, I tell you how to set the timing and to record your audio, record your voice over the slides. So please make sure you check out that Instructor Podcast 9 in order to learn how to do that. In this one, I'm going to I offer you a template, an actual PowerPoint template that has slides already on it that kind of tell you how to encourage you how to walk through the arrangement of your argument in a particular way. Arrangement is a really important rhetorical canon, especially when you're talking about how you get when you give presentations. How you arrange your argument or how you put together and make sense to your rhetorical audience is a subject that's been studied since 400 BC and even before that. Aristotle, the Greek rhetorician, he said, "A whole is that which has a beginning, a middle, and an end." Your position argument needs to be a whole argument. It needs to have a beginning, middle, and end. And what a great way to, using PowerPoint is a great way to do it because it kind of makes you have a beginning, middle, and end and some slides to kind of help guide you through that. So your argumentative presentation is its own kind of text or genre, and an audience usually will expect a certain flow to that PowerPoint presentation and to be arranged in a certain way. And I'm going to give you an arrangement that you can use, or you can switch around if you'd like, but the parts of the 5 parts of it you really do need to have. Those 5 parts are the introduction, which includes a thesis, a statement of fact or background information, a confirmation, which is the body of your argument, and a refutation, which is when you address counter arguments, and then a conclusion. And I'm going to talk to you and show you a little bit about how to put that together in a PowerPoint slide. So be prepared to watch me take you through this PowerPoint slide, and hopefully you can use it. You will be able to find the template under Sakai Resources PowerPoints, and I will also attach it to the announcement that I make about this podcast. Okay, so here's the template that you can find on Sakai under Resources PowerPoints, and you need to change the slides as you see fit. You want to put images and graphics on them, graphics and images that will go with what you are talking about. And you'll want to change a lot of the text on these slides, but at least the slides will help you arrange your position argument in a way that probably will make sense to most audience members. So obviously your first slide, you want to have the title of your project, your name, your credentials. Like for example, if you are currently an RA, you might want to say that. If you are currently a server and you're talking about being a waiter in a banquet hall, you might want to put that you're a server in the particular banquet hall. You might want to, put your credentials in, if you're a member of LASA, then put that in there. If you have a particular title in the group, you might want to put that there too. So, establish your first slide establishes your credibility right away for your audience. So think about that. So like I said, the first of the 5 parts of usually an argument that an audience expects is an introduction. So your first few slides, I think I have 8 slides. Now you probably will not have this many slides for your introduction. Remember, each one is 20 seconds, but you decide how to arrange these slides and what to put on them. But in these slides, I'm giving you a few hints as to how to put your introduction together. So in Greek, the Greek rhetoricians talked about an introduction being what they called a proemium, or it meant before the song. In Latin, they use the term exordium, which means beginning a web, and the classic rhetoricians said that basically, an introduction is there to rouse interest in the subject, rouse the interest of the audience, get them interested in it, to ingratiate yourself with the audience, meaning to get them to like you, and to establish your ethos, meaning to establish your credibility. So how are you going to do that in these first few slides? You could do that in a number of ways. Some ways are One particular way is to have an introduction inquisitive, or show that the subject is important, curious, or interesting in some way. So in your introduction, you can use a quirky or interesting story about the issue, perhaps. You can use some astounding statistic that you found in the in your research. You can talk about a recent news story about the issue that will intrigue your audience. You might also offer a paradox for your introduction. Show that although the points you're trying to establish seem unlikely or improbable, that the issue you're about to talk about must, after all, be admitted and heard about. So maybe discuss how your subject is an issue or problem that most people have never considered before, and give them a new way of thinking about it. You might also have a corrective introduction. Show that your subject has been neglected, misunderstood, or misrepresented. You can discuss how the issue and problem you're going to discuss has not been paid enough attention to, or has not been understood correctly. Explain who's been ignoring it or misunderstanding it, and why they've been doing that. You might also give an introduction preparatory, or explain an unusual mode of developing the subject, or forestall some misconception of your purpose, or apologize for a deficiency. This is kind of a different way of introducing your issue. Maybe you explain how you're no expert on this situation, or how you might have some slighted views on it because of your passion for it, but ask your audience to forgive you and explain how they can see past this, and have them still want to hear you out. Another way is you've heard this a lot, is to give a narrative. Rouse interest in the subject by telling a personal anecdote. So maybe you'll tell a short and interesting story about something that happened to you that relates to the issue or problem. Your introduction also needs to include a thesis, which is the guiding light of your argument. The Greeks called this the prosthesis, which means placing before. That thesis should answer what the issue is and what your point of view on it is, the subject of your presentation. Where and when does the issue happen? Who needs to know about it? And you want to address your audience. Why do you care about the issue, and why should the audience care? And to what extent or how much should they care? So yes, that's a lot, but thesis statements can be 1 to 2 sentences, but they must be spoken sometime in your introduction, during your introduction slides. Here's a sample thesis that answers all of these questions. As an instructor of several gender and women's studies courses at URI, I've noticed a consistent and egregious lack of enrollment by male students in my own classes and others. As a result, many young men and young women at URI are missing out on some incredible opportunities to understand and debate how gender privilege and gender inequity seriously affects not only their social lives, but also their educations, their bodies and psyches, and even their future careers. Now, this is it's 2 sentences long, but it answers all of these questions. What is the issue? The issue is lack of attendance by men in women's and gender studies courses. When and where does the issue happen? At URI, and recently I've noticed this. Who needs to know about the issue? I say men and women are at URI, and so that is my specific audience, are missing out. Why do I care about it, and why should the audience care? And I say, well, because I think they're missing out on understanding and good debates about how gender privilege and gender equality inequity seriously affects them. And to what extent should they care? I kind of answer that here in saying that they're really missing out on this. So you want to answer those questions in your thesis and make it be a solid thesis. So those slides will all look very different in your presentation. You're going to have images on here and graphics and maybe a few quotes or statistics, but this is kind of what your first few slides should include. Okay, then you're going to move to your statement of fact slides, which are also known as the background or history of your issue. So you want to set up the essential facts of the issue under consideration, give some background or history on it, present what is presently known about the subject that most people can agree on, and give your vivid description of the problem or issue. So use your sources, your own experience here, news articles, expert opinions, but this is basically just background info. You're not really making your point of view or your argument known yet. And you're going to have as many slides as it takes for you to give that background information. Okay, so those are your statement of fact slides. Then you get to the confirmation slides. Now, these are the body of your argument. This is the proof you give to back up your point of view, the part you get where you get down to the main business of your discourse. These slides will be the core, the central part of your paper, of your presentation. The part in which we do what we set out to do. In this case, is to explain and inform and maybe even to persuade your audience about your perspective on a certain issue in your discourse community. These slides will give an extended discussion of your point of view. They will make your argument with clear and varied reasons, claims about why you feel the way you do, and then you're going to support those reasons and claims with clear evidence that you've experienced and that you've found in your research. So use material you gathered from your own experiences, from experts, from friends and family, from people involved in the issue, from the media, newspapers, and magazines, as well as the peer-reviewed academic article that you looked up in the library yesterday. And all of this stuff should show and support your point of view. And you're going to have as many slides as it takes to make this argument known to your audience. Make sure that you arrange your reasons, claims, and evidence in some kind of logical order. You can do at least to most important reasons, chronological order, the most poignant to the least poignant, the most popular to the least popular, most understood to least understood, but have some kind of clear arrangement for all of these reasons that you set out. And again, just more reasons and claims. Hi, buddy. And use as many slides as you need to get through that confirmation and the bulk of your. Right. So then you'll need a couple slides that give you refutation. You want to address the haters' points of view. So you want to include counter arguments that you found in your research and data collection. Note the opposing views here on some slides. Decide on how or if you'll refute them or offer a response to them. Sometimes you can just say, hey, you know what, I get their point of view and I hear them, but this is my point of view. You don't necessarily have to argue against them if you don't have an argument, but you want to at least nod to what the other side says. So you can refute using appeals of logic. Look at some statistics that prove the haters wrong. Tell an emotional story that shows your perspective that goes against what they say and just gets the audience to feel something. Or just your own credibility. Basically, hey, I know something about this, and so you need to believe me. So you want to think about the other side. You can also use wit, use jokes, sarcasm, humor. That's hard to do. It's not always easy, but you can try and do that to somehow, show, refute the opposition. So that's what refutation is. It's just talking about the counter arguments. And then you want to have some conclusion slides. The conclusion, the Greeks called it epilogos. In Latin, it was recapitulatio, recapitulation or recap. Also Latin, peroration, a finishing off. Aristotle called it enumeratio effectus, which means an enumeration or a summing up and producing the appropriate emotion in the audience. And that's what you want to do for your conclusion. This is where you round off what you've been molding in the earlier parts of your presentation. And this is the part that you hope lingers in your audience's memory. So Aristotle said a conclusion should do 4 things to the audience. It should inspire them with a favorable opinion of you with a speaker and an unfavorable view of your opponents. Now you don't have to go that far, but you can if you want. He also said it should amplify the force of the points you made in the speech and to extenuate or make less of the points made by the opposition. You can rouse the appropriate emotions in your audience, and you should restate or summarize your facts and arguments. Now, you don't have to do all of those. You can do one or some of those, but no matter what, you want to give your audience some kind of takeaway in the conclusion slides. Offer them something that'll ring in their ears for a while, keep them thinking about your point of view, and let them see the bigger picture. Talk about the benefits of listening to you and the dangers of ignoring you. Make sure you also have a works cited page that lists all of the bibliographic information in alphabetic order. You can use Little Seagull Handbook, these pages, for samples of how to do that. And then just some final comments. Make sure that you use the correct amount of slides for the correct amount of time. Most of your slides should have photos, images, or just a few words. But anytime you have a quote, please type that entire quote on the slide. Make sure you have correct in-text citation for it, and read that quote aloud. So, uh, okay. So basically, that's it, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. All right, bye. Make sure to bring your computers so that we can have